What's up, Nerd Fam? Hope everyone's doing good today. It's your boy Gershon, and today we're gonna talk about season 2 of Umbrella Academy. We're just gonna review it and just talk about, is it worth watching, and if it is, what did it do really well? And I'm actually really excited about this. It was actually one of the better series that I've seen this year, and they did an incredible job. So let's get talking about it. It went a great direction. They adapted it very well, and they made some decisions that were much better for an episodic like this and the amount of time that they were allotted. I'll also say, just a disclaimer, if you haven't watched season 1, I'm going to be making a lot of references to it, so watch at your own risk. And season 2, there'll be some minute spoilers, more about like character motivation and stuff like that, but not necessarily plot point. So yeah, you have been warned. What this story does so well, it handles the characters extremely well, stays true to them and consistent to the expectations that we set up during the first season. So, as you know, this is taking place right after the first season, which, like immediately after Vanya, destroyed the world, like she caused the apocalypse, right? And those feelings within the characters still remain. They're still residual. They didn't just forget that happened, and they still all have some type of resentment towards Vanya about that, like even like a little bit, or just worry or concern that she could do it again, right? Which is good. Like they didn't just forget, but individually they all deal with things, and I love it. I love how Luther still has to deal with being lonely. Like he doesn't like that he was lonely for so long, and he doesn't really want to go back to that. And he also wants a father figure, which he finds, even if it's someone who shouldn't be, someone who mistreats him, right? Like he goes right back to that. He goes back to that abusive relationship because that's what he thought was like a good father at that time, right? Even when it comes to Allison, her having to struggle with not using her powers for personal gain, like just telling everyone to do whatever it is that she wants. Like she could do that, and that's what she did in the first season when it came to her husband. It's how she got her husband, and obviously he caught her using her power with the daughter, which is why he got full custody and all that. And she's trying to, like, she learned from that, and is trying not to ruin the life that she created in this timeline that's happening here. I'm not trying to give away too much, but we get it if you actually watched it. Also, when it comes to Diego, superhero complex that he has, and he's so much into that complex that he's crazy. Like it pretty much makes him look crazy, which is why he's in the crazy house when we see him, right? Then we have Klaus, who obviously is an addict, and he's someone who does suffer from a bit of narcissism. But if you put an addict in stressful situations that led him to becoming an addict in the first place, what happens? They relapse. And I like how they explore that here. And it's consistent to who he is, but who he was in the first one, right? And even pulling people down with him. And even Ben as a ghost, him growing up with Klaus as a ghost, and him like pretty much watching everyone from the sidelines and having to like kind of just be at arm's reach, which was kind of heartbreaking but really cool, and even showed how he grew even in death. And Vanya, what happened to her memory obviously affected a lot, but showing that she is always going to go in this cycle of just exploding, of just not really knowing how to control her emotions, because since she was a little kid, like her emotions have been like toyed and bottled up, and she's been lied to, so she just keeps going through all these circles over and over and over again. And now she can finally deal with them and understand who she actually is. And I love that they did that in here, and like these characters are all damaged. They're all damaged characters by Professor Hargreaves. Like he did a number on them. He's really a douche to them, and they're really dealing with all different types of daddy issues. And I like that they're showing that even in different situations, it carries over. That's very important to have that type of consistency when it comes to storytelling with your character. They also dealt with time travel pretty cool here. I mean, they didn't do anything like super revolutionary that we haven't seen before. Like we've already seen the suitcases, which is actually are pretty unique for Umbrella Academy. However, it was the consequences that you could potentially face when you are coming face to face with yourself. I think that was kind of funny. The type of things that you go through there, instead of just exploding, which is usually what happens in a lot of other things that you guys can't exist. You just both explode spontaneously for some reason. Also, I like the fact that when you are traveling in different time, you also experience, different attitudes, and like the climate is different. Not necessarily like climate, like literally weather climate, but political climate, racial climate. All these things could be different where you're going to, and it's not just like in the past you might see someone go, "Oh, you talk funny. What does that word mean? Or what kind of clothes are those?" They might like just stay on the surface stuff like that, but they actually go, obviously, in the '60s, looking like me walking into a diner might be kind of weird. Also, members of the LGBT community weren't, widely accepted. A lot of closeted stuff going on there, and the threat of communism, right? But what was happening at that time. So I'm glad they included that and made that integral to the story. Now, that Sparrow reveal is also very important because that's actually what they're talking about now in the source material. And if you look at what happened in this season, you'll understand exactly how they could have even gotten to that point. Not gonna say too much because spoiler, because I've already read, so I don't want to spoil it for people doing that. But yeah, this is awesome, and obviously the source material is being heavily referenced here. Like this is like the heaviest the source material has been referenced to this point. And once again, I'll mention that the source material for this and the show are not the same. And that's okay. They do this very well. And there's some things that they chose not like to omit from this particular storyline about the whole JFK assassination, which is like Luther's character actually getting like fat, like pretty much kind of like the Thor Ragnarok story if anyone saw that. But this actually happened before. Like they actually wrote that series, well, that particular entry into the series before Endgame, but they knew that the general public wouldn't know that. They just think that they're copying Thor, so they just didn't put that in there. They made a reference to it by showing when he was eating all that barbecue and stuff like that. Also, Hazel and Cha-Cha are there. Diego has like one eye. Like there's a lot of things that they didn't go with and could possibly happen in the future, which is cool as well. But everything they have gone with so far is really, really good. Like I really don't have any complaints about it. So if you're wondering if you should watch this show or to tell other people to watch the show, or if you already watched it and you love it, we're in the same boat. But if you have not watched it, please watch it. And when should you watch it? Like now. Into the Nerd.